night, like Mr. Charles Butler. Now see, Mr. Butler, he was the only agent for color players in Hollywood. So I tried to make a good impression with a little small talk. So I said, Mr. Butler, I was known as the Black Sophie Tucker on the vaudeville scene. And he said, well, Miss McDaniel, vaudeville is dead. Sam, I'll take her on for you, but it'll be for film only. I didn't give a damn if it was for film only. I was the right type for Hollywood. Large and dark for man and maid roles. 3 weeks after the party, I was coming home from work, feet hurt, tired, and evil. Ella met me at the door with some good news. Hattie, Mr. Butler called. Yeah, what do you want? You got an audition tomorrow at Paramount, 8 o'clock in the morning. Oh, well, maybe I should wear my lucky dress. Child, if you want to depart, you better wear that maid's uniform you got on. Yes, Miss Etta. Hattie, I done told you. No, it's yours with me, little. Child, if you don't get with the program, you ain't gonna make no money here. In applying for these highly sought after roles, you must properly enunciate them and those. In order that your station in life is clear, you must enunciate in the proper vernacular. These, that, this, them, and they. Keywords in Hollywood for color folks to say, you must roll your eyes and slide. Dish your watermelon, bird, sweet. First you practice lowering your chin. Then speak clearly, these, those, and them. And make your station feel like you're really beneath by keeping your mouth wide and show lots of teeth. Forget all that high stepping you learn to the beat. Slouch down, dangle your arms, and shuffle your feet. Just remember, girlie, it's only a job. Remember who taught you. Almighty Bob. These, that, this, different. Keywords in Hollywood for color folks to say you must roll your eyes and slide your feet and say, dish your watermelon, bird, sweet. Work to satisfy your pocket, not your soul. Remember the coal miners don't live in no hole. Good things come from hard work and strife. Girlie, this is your livelihood, not your life. That, this, them, and those. Get the money, then turn up your nose. These, those, this, that, and them. Get the money, then move next door to them. A year after I moved to Los Angeles, 1932, I did my first feature film without the help of Mr. Charles Butler. The Golden West, the first of many films I never received credit. Then there was Hypnotized, Washington Masquerade, and Blonde Venus starring Miss Marlene Dietrich. Oh, Marlene and I, we developed such a wonderful friendship during that filming. Oh, rumor had it that she and I were carrying on a lesbian affair. Well, all I can say to that is, prove it. If I did, it's none of your business. And if I didn't, it's none of your business. Now, in 1933, there were 2 more films. The Story of Temple Drake and I'm No Angel, starring Mae West, where she spoke those immortal words. Beulah, agree. Oh, please let me disabuse another rumor. I did not play Beulah in I'm No Angel. Beulah was played by my good girlfriend, Gertrude Howard. Now, this film had a lot of maids in it. I was one of the other maids. Now, between 1935 and 1938, I made 36 films. Wow. But the busiest year of my life was 1936. I made 14 films in that 1 year alone. 6 for Fox, 3 for Universal, 2 for Warner, and 1 each Paramount, RKO, and MGM. Seemed like overnight I had money in the bank. Was recognized in my community. And when I walked down the street, I signed a couple of autographs. Now, during this period, I didn't drive. So my source of transportation was the city bus. And on this one particular day, a young man approached me. "Hi, you're Miss Hattie McDaniel, aren't you?" I was when I left home this morning. "I'm wonderful." "Well, aren't you full of yourself?" No, my name is Wonderful. Wonderful Smith. "Oh, well, that's an unusual name." "I'm an avid fan." "Avid fan? Sound like a disease." Oh, I thought he was such a nice young man. Polite, respectful, good manners. Not bad on the eyes either. "Miss McDaniel, I'm a student of drama. Would you consider giving me acting lessons?" I did consider it. And our chance friendship turned into a long and loyal friendship. Miss Mac, here, take this book. I hear they're gonna make a film out of it. And Miss Mac, there's a part in there just for you. I read this book 3 times. You see, every actor has the absorbing passion of creating something distinctive and unique. We desire a role that will send us challenging and searching for new mannerisms and latent, dramatic power. That's what I felt about that Mammy character when I read. Mammy emerged from the hall, a huge old woman with the small, shrewd eyes of an elephant. She was shining black, pure African. Reminded me of my own grandmother. Pure African slave. Mammy on her own plantation, loved by all on the plantation. Oh, my papa, he used to tell stories so clear about her. Did I even imagine seeing her? I gave my Mammy character my grandmother's pride, dignity, and humanity. Everybody wanted the role of Mammy. Even our First Lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, wanted her White House cook, Elizabeth McDuffie, to be Mammy. She is extremely capable and has a great deal of histrionic ability. Got her a screen test. Oh, I vigorously sought after the role of Mammy myself. But at the time, I wasn't aware that one of my strong supporters was Bing Crosby. See, my brother Sam was his vocal coach. So I met him during my early years in Hollywood. He wrote to Mr. Selznick.
Being loath to go down in cinema history as the only citizen not on record for sticking my nose into the casting for Gone with the Wind, I would like to suggest a Mammy. The little lady I have in mind played opposite Robeson in Showboat, and to my mind would be a cinch. I don't know her name, but your hirelings in the casting office could dig it up. Hoping you'll pardon my guts, Bing Crosby.
Oh, our friendship deepened, and I'll never forget something he told me to remember. There are only 18 inches between a pat on the back and a kick in the rump. Oh, Clark Gable was my buddy. Oh, we had a wonderful friendship. He campaigned hard for me to get the role of Mammy, too. He even had one of his costumer friends dress me for the audition. Oh, Clark, Carol, and I. Carol Lombard. You knew they were married, right? Well, anyway. One night they had come to one of my parties, and they brought along with them a short Jewish man, William Micklejohn. Good evening, Miss McDaniel. I've been keeping abreast of your career. Clark speaks well of you and your talent. I'm an agent, Miss McDaniel, and I would like to represent you. Me? Now, I didn't say it out loud like that, but I was thinking, me? Listen, this is 1930. Ronald Reagan. Now, I knew I was talented enough to get a good agent, but I didn't think I was white enough to get this one. And I most likely would not have if it were not for Clark Cable. Now, as I entered the audition room, the door swung open, and out comes my good friend, Louise Beavers. Now, friends or not, we both wanted the role. And she was my tough competition. She was incredible as Aunt Delilah in Imitation of Life. Oh, Louise was wearing this beautiful, beautiful, exquisite mink coat. But wrong for this audition. As I entered Mr. Selznick's office, he had his head down looking at something on his desk. And when he raised his head, I said, Mr. Selznick, you can stop your search. Mammy is here. And he stared at me, and he said, I can smell the magnolias. Famous and not so famous actors and actresses tested for the roles of Melanie and Ashley Wilkes, Lana Turner and Robert Young, to name a few. Oh, poor Joan Crawford. She wanted to be Scarlet bad, but she never even got to screen test. Now, David Selznick's brother Myron, he brought Vivian Lee along with him to view the first scene. And David Selznick was bewitched by her. Now that's another story and ain't mine to tell. Clark and I, we had a celebration drink over the birth of Rhett Butler's daughter, Bonnie Butler. Now, instead of real alcohol, we had colored water. And take after take, it got harder and harder to drink. So I said to Clark, I'm tired of drinking this stuff. And as the good old prankster Clark is, he had real scotch put into the glasses. And when I went to take this great big gulp, he says, is that better? They say it was the best scotch, but I don't know because my mouth was burning. Next morning, he had the audacity to run past me and say, Mammy, how's the hangover? We played one practical joke after the other on one another during that film, and we had so much fun. We stayed in the character. They were calling me Mammy on and off the set. Then June 27th, 1939, we wrapped Gone with the Wind. And on the same day that we wrapped, Mr. Selznick presented me my first contract. Now, speaking of contracts, I think the best move ever made by Universal was hiring Paul Robeson for the role of Joe in Showroom. Ah, he was such an intellect. I would sit down next to him just so I could feel intelligent. One day while we were on break, I met a woman who would be very, very important in my life, like my right arm, Ruby Berkeley Goodwin. Goody, as I called her. Oh, we both loved writing and reciting poems. She gave me a book of her poems, and I wrote her a letter, a thank you letter. I said, Dear Goody, I am enjoying the poems immensely. I particularly love I Dream Alone Again. Quite fitting. I just received my first divorce. I guess you only get one good man in your life. Because after Howard, I just couldn't find a man for me. I knew very little about my second husband. His name was George Lang. He thought I was a punching bag. And he drank like a fish. Only thing fish drink water. But he inspired me to write this your song here. He could be lazy, he could be crazy, only stand as high as 4 feet 5. Could be a gimp and walk with a limp, smell so bad it make you wanna cry. Might be a chump with a head full of lumps, nowhere is a tooth up in his head. But any kind of man would be better than you. He could be as bald as a baby's behind, eyes all crossed, even damn near blind. Tall, short, fat, thin, whatever will do, just as long it ain't a Y-O-U. He might be cheap with a real bad physique, look like he is one step from the grave. He can't wear a cap and he can't read a map, all because he got mush for a brain. Scared of the dark and he can't drive a car, he gotta ride his bike out on a date. But any kind of man would be better than you. He could be as bald as a baby's behind, eyes all crossed, even damn near blind. Tall, short, fat, thin, whatever will do, just as long it ain't a Y-O-U. Any kind of man. I said any kind of man. You know any kind of man would be better than you. Yeah. I overheard Mr. Selznick say, because of my performance, I would be hailed as the greatest Negro performer of a decade. Now you think with that in mind, the greatest Negro performer of a decade would be invited to the very first premiere. Well, I wasn't, nor was any other colored player. It was to be held in Atlanta. You know the city with open arms to Negroes. Well, I wrote to Mr. Selznick to ease his frustration. Dear Mr. Selznick, I am unable to attend the Atlanta premiere. And I'd also like to thank you for the opportunity given to me to play the part of Mammy in the epical drama of the Old South. I have nothing but the highest praise for the cooperation extended by my fellow players and the entire studio staff. I am sure that the picture will live up to every expectation of the producer and preview critics. And I hope that Mammy, when viewed by the masses, will be the exact replica of what Miss Mitchell intended her to be. Sincerely, Hattie McDaniel. Can't help my fuss, may make you cuss, but I won't be hushed. Then early February, the announcement came that the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences nominated me for Best Supporting Actress. I must have sat in one spot in disbelief for hours. Next thing I know, my telephone was ringing, the doorbell was ringing, people I knew and didn't know were giving me hugs and kisses and congratulations. Gone with the Wind received 13 nominations. One was for Best Film. We were up against Stagecoach, The Wizard of Oz, and Wuthering Heights. The night of the awards, I was so filled with emotion that I could hardly think. They had never given a colored person such an honor. 1935, there was an honorable mention for Louise Beavers in her role in Imitation of Life. And that was a first. Then came that moment.
I present the Academy Award for the Best Performance of an Actress in Supporting Roles during 1939 to Hattie McDaniel.
I watched her lips move. I didn't even recognize my own name. Somebody had to pull me. Now see, my table was in the back near the kitchen. I never sat there because Mr. Selznick invited us to his table. So when I returned to my seat, I was greeted by a very excited Vivian Lee, who had just won for Best Actress, and Clark Gable, who had just lost Best Actor to Robert Donette for Goodbye, Mr. Chips. Clark, he vigorously shook this hand while Mr. Selznick kissed this one. Olivia de Havilland ran from the table. We were nominated in the same category, and she was upset that she hadn't won. Now, 2 weeks after the awards, I received this letter from Olivia. Dear Hattie, for 2 weeks, I was convinced that there was no God. Then one morning I woke up in more ways than one, filled with the delight that I lived in a world where God was certainly present and where justice had indeed been done. I suddenly felt very proud that I belonged to a profession which honored a Negro woman who merited this award in a time when other groups had neither the honesty nor the courage to do the same sort of thing. Congratulations, Hattie. Olivia. I was so glad to receive this letter from Olivia, because in my own life lessons, I certainly understood how she felt. Smile, oh, your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fears and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Light up your face with sadness, hide every trace of sadness, although your tears may be ever so near. That's the time you must keep on trying. Smile, what's the use in crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just Oh, I had reasons to smile during the early 1940s. I was included among the great Negro talent of the decade. Marian Anderson, Joe Louis, Jesse Owens, and Paul Robeson. Oh my, what an honor. Now, a man I met in Chicago while I was at the Father Divine Mission James Lloyd Crawford approached me from behind and blew in my ear. Hi, Hattie. Why don't you let me take you out to dinner? Where are you staying? Now that's the question I shouldn't have answered, but I did. And one thing turned into another, and before I knew it, we had rekindled our relationship. He followed me back to Los Angeles, professing his love for me and asked me to marry him. How could I say no? Oh. This is husband number 3, now keep up. But to tell you the truth, it was doomed from the start. For one thing, he didn't have a job and made very little effort towards getting one. I told the judge, he thought because he married me, he didn't have to work. Wrong. Telling me almost how much he loved me with all his heart. I love him too if his ass got a job. But you know, I think that we made better friends than we did man and wife. December 5th, 1945, I received my divorce. Oh, James, he stayed in touch even though he moved out of state. Before I left for tour, I had lunch with my girls. Sigma chapter of Sigma Gamma.